Welcome to the first module of the Certified Event Manager qualification. The first module is called Organise the Setup and Breakdown of an Event. In this short video presentation, we're going to consider some of the factors that the event manager needs to take into account in both setting up and breaking down an event. First of all, definitions. Setup means putting in place all the temporary facilities and equipment that's needed to stage the event, and the temporary facilities and equipment can include everything from the rigging, the stage, the seating, the tables, the catering facilities, anything that's needed in order to stage the event. Breakdown refers to taking everything down and removing everything from the venue so that the event venue is left as it was before the event was staged. In order to do the setup and breakdown effectively, a logistical plan has to be devised by the event manager, and this specifies in detail what happens first, what happens second, what happens third in setting up and breaking down the event. We'll discuss in more detail what a logistical plan should look like in a following video presentation. But there are certain factors that will influence the setup and breakdown of an event, and we'll look at these now. The first factor is the complexity of the event, the complexity of the event objectives, or the complexity of the concept, or the complexity of the location. So the first factor is complexity. This particular event, an outdoor music festival, will be very complex to set up. Many different stages, many different suppliers, many different contractors, all have to be coordinated and managed in order for the event to be set up, ready for the music festival to take place. So this is an example of a very complex event to set up. The next requirement is really the magnitude and scope of the event. Small-scale community events will be easier to set up than the larger event. An outdoor community event that takes place in a public space, such as a park, with one stage and one area of activity, will be relatively straightforward to set up and break down. So the scale and scope of the event is also a factor to take into account when thinking about setting up and breaking down the event. Other factors that need to be taken into account are those which might relate to whether it's a major or mega event, such as a sports event. Major and mega events can run over a duration of weeks. The Olympic Games run over a period of 4 weeks. And when organising the setup and breakdown of a major and mega event, it will be months of preparation and planning and implementation in order to set up these events, which take place in a number of different locations, indoor and outdoor, and which will also be very complex in order to set up and break down. Also, we have to think about the location in which the event is taking place and the cultural norms and traditions which might affect the setup and breakdown. We need to understand the implications of the religion that is prevalent in that location, and whether there are any restrictions that we might have to face because of the religious norms in that location. We have to think about the holiday periods. Different religions, different countries have different religious holidays. That will mean that our event team might not be able to work because they have to respect and follow the religious holidays of their cultural norms. So we have to think about what the availability of people, whether we can access venues, what the transportation systems will be like on times when there are major holidays that could affect the setting up of our event. Finally, the event manager must understand the laws and regulations that affect the setup and breakdown of the event in the locality where the event is being staged. We have to understand what the transport regulations are if we're wanting to bring in heavy equipment. We need to understand what the health and safety requirements are when we're putting up the rigging and the staging. So another factor that affects the setup and breakdown of the event is the local laws and regulations that are in place in the locality where the event is being staged.